timers! It's your favorite story timer, Annie! And her best pal, E.
Hello, everybody! And today we're going to be talking about the difference between first person and third person perspectives.
That's right, buddy boy! We're gonna be doing the best thing ever! And you know what? Why not? For the sake of fun things, I'm gonna wear my black and white striped shirt. Now, E, at being very correct here, is going to be the best buddy boy ever this season. And why not? Because I love series books. You know how much I love my series books. Because on this channel, the series books we have are Indian in the Cupboard and the Shakespeare series. So you know I love my series books. And also Shadow Jumper has its own series too. I just haven't completely finished it. We also have 2 other books that I have mentioned, well respected on my channel, and these books hold a dear little place in my heart. You know, just beside all the good Christian stuff I love, there's also my books. That's my heart. And he's in the middle, of course. Special place of honor. Now, anyway, my 2 favorite series are Harry Potter and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And this is today's subject, because first person and third person are like literally my 2 favorite series' main attractions. So let's start with number 1, first person point of view. And my example is the first book, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. A brand new copy I just got too. I love the whole entire series without the case. You can't fit 6 books into a case, huh? The Harry Potter series has its own 7-book case. But then the series I got from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children doesn't have a case. So it came wrapped up in the most complicated of foils. And I couldn't rip it apart. I had to use scissors. That's how annoying it was. But anyways, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And right here you got that cute little golden wording that isn't really important unless you've watched the movie. And of course I've had. It's not as good as the series, but at all. But anyway, this book. And inside are, let's see how much pages, I don't see, 381 pages. 381 pages of glory. Look how beautiful the side view is. And guess it, who is the first person point of view? It's Jacob Portman, A. Portman's grandson, who turns out to figure out in the first book, he's peculiar. Pause the video to read the back at your own leisure. Okay, so here, let me explain. So, an example of first person point of view is the main character who just talks about his life as he's doing it. Like a journal, except without the dating stuff. I will give you an example. Let's see. So page 285 says, "We stepped into the night air to find the others already waiting. Bronwyn gave us each a crushing hug and handed out black rain slickers she'd snagged, which I'd suggested we'd wear to provide some measure of protection from the storm raging outside the loop." 2 sentences, because the first sentence was too short. Page 285. Like, oh, that's 284, but like somewhere. So 285 somewhere over here if you want to look. And so, what was Jake doing? He was explaining that there was a raging storm outside. And no, this wasn't the third person point of view, because if it was third person point of view, it would be, there was a raging storm outside. And then next, Jake, he explains how Bronwyn, being very strong as her peculiarity, she gives them crushing hugs, meaning she doesn't know her own strength accidentally, but it's fine because it's a hug anyways. And then she gives them black rain slickers because, like I said, there was a storm outside. And so yeah, that is first person point of view. Jake describing things of his own leisure. Now, we're going to get to the problems with first-person point of view. And yes, there is problems. If you've read the series, can you tell me what Jake looks like? Go ahead, I'm listening. Well, you can't. Not properly anyways. The only way for a first-person point of view to ever explain anything about what the first-person point of viewer is saying to about himself is from other characters being like, oh, Jake, you have lovely black hair, or whatever hair color he has, because I really cannot tell. Or like, just if he's in a battle and he got wounded and someone mentions like, I don't know, he got a scratch on his cheek or something. Like, yeah. That would be first-person point of view, explanations about what the character looks like. And yeah. It's really difficult for me to figure out what Jake looks like. But thankfully, the movies covered that. Well, one singular movie, actually. There's no plural. We have the actor who plays Jake, a relatively nice pale youth with a pointy nose, startling light blue eyes, and jet black hair. Like the next book series main character for third-person point of view we're going to be talking about, Harry Potter. And what no better way to talk about third-person point of view than using the third Harry Potter book of the series, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That's right, folks. This is my favorite Harry Potter book of all time. You can tell how worn it is. Like, if you look really closely, the page cover. Like, okay, there. The cover can't even stay closed. It's worn. And then on the inside of the cover, it's sort of ripped. That's how much I've read this book. Multiple times. And imagine trying to shove a book this thick into a box that holds 7 whole books for a series. It's difficult. No wonder they gave me Miss Perry's Home for Peculiar Children without a series. And I've treated this book very well. So yeah, third-person point of view. Let me give you an example of third-person point of view, which is the author acting like they're part of the story and hiding in the shadows, describing what Harry does. Okay, so for third-person point of view, there is more conversation, and there's more sections for non-conversation, where the author describes something like this. So you see on page 127, then I'm going to read to you. Crabbe and Goyle laughed openly, watching Neville sweat as he stirred his potion feverishly. Hermione was muttering instructions to him out of the corner of her mouth, so that Snape wouldn't see. Now, if this was a first-person point of view of Hermione, if she was the main character of the series, she would be saying, like, for example, I was muttering instructions to him out of the corner of my mouth so that Snape wouldn't see. That would be what Hermione would be doing if it was first-person point of view. But because it's third-person point of view, we get J.K. Rowling watching in the shadows, and no one can see her as she scribbles frantically like Umbridge in the 5th book, writing notes as McGonagall tries to ignore her. Now, really, the flaws of third-person point of view. Can I not express? There's more flaws, like the fact that character for the first-person point of view gets a while to describe them. Like, they gotta be looking in a full blamed-on mirror to actually get the full-on lesson of what they look like. Or from their own mouth, because that works too, beside the other 2 descriptions I described. Well, third-person point of view problem is either there's too much information, too little information, or the adjectives. I have a lot of bookish pet peeves. And one of them is the adjectives. If you are surprised, your eyes are widened, your mouth might open. What I hate is when they describe the surprised mouth as an O of surprise. An O. A literal O. Will you take time in your day to be surprised enough to make an O out of your mouth? Definitely not. At least your eyes are going to widen. But a full-on O of surprise, like I can't even make an O with my hands. That's how difficult it is.
I make an E when I'm surprised.
Thank you, E. Like, what they mean is their mouth is probably going to be like, but that's not even an O. It's an oval. So what do they mean by an O of surprise? I mean, honestly, just those descriptions, it's wild. And then there's also the problem that has to do with, like, naming. Don't mention the name too much. It's a suggestion. Like, if you got this person, they're talking, and it's like, so you got Ron said, I like ice cream, Ron said. So you have Ron said first, then you got I like ice cream. You can either cut off the beginning said and leave off I like ice cream, Ron said. Or you can take off the ending, Ron said, and go, Ron said, I like ice cream. It's just very, very difficult plotting to figure out where you want the said. And no, there's more than one word for said. You've got explained, described, exclaimed, yelled, screamed, shouted, bellowed. You've got every single thing you can do with words. And said being the most easiest and most commonest. Well, you gotta put an adjective in front of that word. Like, to figure out the emotion, if you're using said. Like, okay, Ron said calmly. Actually, you could put that. Or you could do like, Ron calmly said, I like ice cream. Or you could be like, Ron said excitedly, I like ice cream. That is like, what do you want to do? It's the difficulty of trying to word yourself when you have third-person point of view. Yes, it's harder to type out a first-person point of view of your character in the story because you're imagining what you're like being a 16-year-old boy living in Florida. And yes, I know the author's lived in Florida, so it's easy for him to write about a 16-year-old boy living in Florida because he's lived in Florida. But what if, like me, you didn't live in Florida, but still wanted your main character to be a Florida boy? Well, you either just write what you know, or you don't write at all and you make him live in North Carolina, which is where I lived for a while, if you didn't know. But now I live in China. Yay. So yeah, that's the difficulty with third person and first person point of view. Now, my beliefs is, and I know how much you love my 2-book series, meaning you might not love Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children as much as you love Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is Harry Potter series, but come on. Which one is better, third person or first person? Well, here's the thing. It depends on the author. That's right, folks. It depends on who's publishing the book, the manuscript, the thick volume of pages with words scribbled above it in very flowery language. It's the definition of a book, I think. Now, if the author, J.K. Rowling has time on her hands, but I don't think she wants to personate an aging boy in her series. So third person is right for her. Because yes, it doesn't depend, because she's a female, and I think it would be very difficult for her to be first person of a boy, mind you. So thankfully, none of her characters are first person, and just her describing what they do. It's much easier for her, because she can do research, but less research, because she's not actually impersonating it as she's writing. But as for Ransom Riggs, he is male, so it is easy. It is lovely. It is just like the time of his life to write a first-person point of view of a boy. Because he is male. He's been a boy in his lifetime. Not just that, he's been a 15-year-old turning 16-year-old in Florida boy. He has been that. He has been that sort of person. And he can easily, without having to grab a Google search on, okay, how do you impersonate that certain type of child, and please do not discriminate me, sort of situation. It's like, this is the time of my life. Because it's like easy pickings. He can just type down, Like, maybe he's basing it off his life, for example. Maybe he was a plain, normal boy in Florida doing what Florida boys do on a daily basis and thinking that they're never ever going to be peculiar because their grandpa lived a peculiar life, but they can't because, well, first of all, they don't speak more than 2 languages that are in English. And, like, it's a thing. It depends on the author. Right. Now for me, I will gladly do the first person impersonation of a boy. I don't care. I don't care my feelings. I mean, yes, I might search up something here or there on like personalities, but I've read books. So I've like read books. Like every single my favorite series is Indian in the Cupboard, Shadow Jumper, Miss Peregrine's Home, Harry Potter, not in that order, are all main character boys. So I know what a boy is. I know what boys do. 4 different types of magical boys, mind you. I mean, yes, Jake's only magical thing is that he can jump from roof to roof. But, like, big deal. I mean, every single one of my magical boys are boys. They're main characters. They're my favorite series. So I would easily, if I wanted to get information on how a boy acts, I just pull a page from one of my books and stare at it. No, I wouldn't, like, temporarily just rip the page off my book. No, I would not be like that. I would just, like, just read it. Like, actually, like, read it. Please. It's easy, see? Because I am a good author. But, you know, I haven't showed you any of my books yet. Not a single one. I mean, yeah, no. I mean, that book on my computer was definitely not written by me. I don't even know the first thing about medieval something or others. Do they live in what's it called again? I don't know where medieval people even live. So that's the problem with me. I'm completely and accurately uneducated when it comes to medieval stories, so I'm not gonna be writing that. But I will be. Well, this seems to be the end. Tune in next time for more awesome adventures with Anytime Storytime and her sweet little pal Eve. Bless his little heart.
Goodbye, everybody.
Gracias. Adios, amigos.